Maniga Tripidam Bhavana Tia Atumile Yogi Six Jemu Sayadawgyi Ganebiro Sayadawgyi Ganebiro Sayadawgyi Chadi Bollywoodi Assembly Chansa Pyotovare Ariya Bianya Ayin Bailo Tiaro Majimacheli Pyotovare Uveti Pizia Pinganya Bianya Sadi Bolly Eramiro Sarune Letri Ponsa Biro Mapioga Babu Popular Sara Yogi Tia to the Kama Tia Sarune Letri Ponsa Biro Lamari Pima Solo Bolly Darido Chantagabara Ariya Yame Yamaya Nevido Dijarama Diluniani Pitate Soravoli Job Sapiro Loye Pota Kore Yona Pisini Nevido Apota Kore Yona Pisini Yatore Nepampo Patamazo Yapo Biblioteca Patama Met Body Sotapati Megalo Kora Patama Piedora Mega Pieda so in Polale Piedava Vipassana Samadhi Pies on Lucia Mega Samadhi plus Samadhi Go through Jaja Piedore how Pian Levio singing it Pisogana Samadhi Sra to me alone near Mahobo Vipassana Samadhi Pies on Nane no Paya Alolo Piela Eramania Chincho Vido Pyodovare Patamame Yare Kamha a joke on the mule Patama by Pyodovare Chanza Mania Mabili on a delay Sebido Kacheje Kachanjali Patamazo Joya Upama.
Yesterday, Sayadawgyi spoke about how, based on purity of sila, purity of conduct, sila visuddhi, yogis go on to establish purity of mind, chitta visuddhi. And he talked in general about the series of types of purity that happen. These are called visuddhi. And he spoke in a general way. And he described what happens in the practice up to the stage of udyabbiya jnana, neither too briefly nor too much at length. Beyond that, the stages of knowledge that occur beyond that, such as bhayajnana, adinava, and so on, those stages he will not describe in terms of theory and practice, because he does not want the yogis to go the wrong way. So he has described up to the stage of udyabbiya jnana, how speaking about the different types of knowledge that occur. And when the yogi continues their practice, observing the stream of nama and rupa, mind and matter, and finally goes from observing this stream, called pavatta, to its cessation, the realization of nibbana. The first experience of seeing nibbana is called Sotapanna, the path knowledge of the stream winner. And once path knowledge arises, fruition knowledge, phala jnana, is also sure to arise. It follows immediately. And once vipassana samadeti, the right view of vipassana, is complete, then the right view of the path, mega samadeti, the right view of fruition, phala samadeti, and the right view of reviewing knowledge, called pajavikana jnana, which reviews what has happened in the stages of path knowledge and fruition knowledge. That these Pachawakana samadeti occurs automatically, and nothing special needed to make it happen. So yesterday Sayadawgyi spoke about this in a summarized way. When one realizes the path knowledge of a stream winner, Sotapattimaga, one gains 7 benefits. And yesterday he spoke about these, in the first part of these, in a rather broad way. And today he will continue.
Sotapatti menya ye achuri ko ro changa nyam ha chung pi ro bo li 9 မျိုးပြထားပါတယ် Sota menya thuja ha changa I do ဖော်ပြသည်တဲ့ မပယ်ဘူးမြတ်ကိလေခဲဖောက်ခွဲဖြစ်စည်းသည်ဆိုတာပါလေ တရားမထုတ်ခင်ကဥပဒနာဉာဏ်လည်းမဖြစ်ဘူးဥပဒနာဖြစ်ဘူးပဲဥပဒနာဉာဏ်လည်းမပြည့်စုံသေးမြင့်ကျက်သေးအဲ့လိုဆိုရင်သောတပတ္တိမဖြစ်သေးဘူးပေါ့လွန်ခဲ့တဲ့ဘဝပေါင်းများစွာလည်းအဲ့ဒီလိုရှိခဲ့မှာပါပဲအခုလိုဘုရားမြတ်စွာသာသနာတော်ကြီးနဲ့ဆုံတဲ့အခါမှာ ဗုဒ္ဓစာပေအရပေါ့တကယ်မိကောင်းဆွေကောင်းဆရာသမားကောင်းတွေအမိပြုပြီးတော့တတိပဌာန်ကျင့်ဤမှန်နေရလို့ကိုယ်ကလည်းပဲကြိုးစားရင်စိတ်စင်ကြယ်မှုကအစပေါ့လေဉာဏ်လေးတွေပေါ့လေတိုးတက်လာတာပဲဒီလိုလည်းပြည့်စုံဉာဏ်လေးလည်းပြည့်လာတာဒီဉာဏ်လေးပြည့်စုံသွားတာအဲ့ဒီခါမျိုးမှာငကိုက သောတပတ္တိမဲ့မဖြစ်ဘူးလို့ဘယ်ကိလေသာမှကိုလည်းပဲဖြစ်စီးဖြစ်တာပဲဖြစ်တာမရှိခဲ့ဘူးသောတပတ္တိမဲ့ဖြစ်တာနဲ့ပဲအပယ်နဲ့စတဲ့ကိလေသာတွေပေါ့လေအဲ့ဒါတွေဆိုင်ခဲတွေဖောက်ခွဲဖြစ်စီးလိုက်တာမပယ်ဘူးမြတ်ကိလေသာဖောက်ခွဲဖယ်ခင်းသည်ဆိုတော့ဒါလိုရင်းမှာပဲ စေကတိတိဝိသေကိစ္စတိလပရပရမတ္ထသူတို့နဲ့တွဲနေတဲ့လောဘဒေါသမောဟတွေပေါ့ဒါတွေပေါ့အဲ့ဒါတွေအကုန်လုံးရှင်းပလိုက်တာပဲဒါပထမဆုံးပဲအဲ့ဒါတွေရှင်းပလိုက်တယ်ဆိုလို့ရှိရင် ချမ်းသာကြီးပွားမှုကဲမဲ့တဲ့ဘဝဆိုးပေါ့လေငရဲတိရစ္ဆာန်ပြိဋ္ဌာအတုရကာယဆိုတာပါလေအဲဒီချမ်းသာကြီးပွားမှုကဲမဲ့တဲ့ဘဝဆိုးတွေကတော့လုံးဝလွတ်သွားတာပဲလူဘဝနတ်ဘဝဆုံးကြီးစံကြီးနေရတာတောင်မှခုနဘဝတဲ့တိုးပြီးတော့ရှစ်ဘဝဟိုဘက်ပေါ့လေခုနဘဝနဲ့ရှစ်ဘဝဟိုဘက် မဖြစ်တော့ဘူးတဲ့ဒီလိုဆိုထားပါတယ်တန္တရဝတ္တဒုက္ခတွေလည်းပဲအဲ့ဒါတွေလည်းပဲမဖြစ်တော့အဲ့ဒါတွေတက်တာသွားတယ်ပေါ့လေအဲ့ဒါကိုသဗ္ဗဘာယဘာလဲ
Anamataka
sansara vata dukkha samudra sositi တဲ့ဒီလိုဆိုထားပါတယ်အဆုံးအကန့်အသတ်မရှိတဲ့ယုံနာနေပေါ့လေဖြစ်စဉ်အဲ့ဒီဖြစ်စဉ်မှာဟိုတော့ပြောခဲ့တဲ့ ကိလေသာဝတ္တကာမဝတ္တဥပါကဝတ္တခေါ်တဲ့ဝဆင်းရဲတွေသမုဒ္ဒရာရေပြင်ကျယ်ကြီးလိုပဲသမုဒ္ဒရာထဲမှာကမ်းမမြင်လမ်းမမြင်ပေါ့လေမဆုံးနိုင်ဘူးအဲဒီလိုပဲအခုသတ္တဝတ္တိမဲ့ဖြစ်လိုက်တာနဲ့ပဲအဆုံးအကန့်အသတ်မရှိတဲ့ဘဝတွေဟာအကန့်အသတ်လာတယ်အကန့်အသတ်ဖြစ်လာတာအထူးအဖြင့်အပေလေးဘက်ကလွတ်သွားတာပေါ့ဒါပဲလူဘဝနောက်ဘဝဆုံးကြီးဆန်းကြီးနေတဲ့နောက်ဆက်ရမှာခုနဘဝပဲအဲ့ဒီအကျိုးတွေရတာပဲဒီမှာဘဝအသိဖြစ်တယ်ဆိုလို့ရှိရင်ကိုယ်ကပြူခြင်းနဲ့အိုးတယ်ကိုယ်ကမာခြင်းနဲ့နားတယ်ကိုယ်ကနေခြင်းနဲ့သေတယ်ကိုယ်ရှိတော့ကိုယ်ဆင်းရဲစိတ်ရှိတော့စိတ်ဆင်းရဲမိသားစုတွေကပျက်စီးလို့ပူဆွေးရတဲ့ဆင်းရဲကိုယ်လိုရှိတဲ့ဟာလေးတွေဆုံးရှုံးလို့ပူဆွေးရတဲ့ဆင်းရဲကိုကြည့်ရတဲ့ဆင်းရဲလူဘဝလေးဖြစ်တာချမ်းသာလေးနဲ့နည်းနည်းလေးဆင်းရဲတွေအများကြီးပဲဒါကိုပဲလူတွေကကြိုက်နေကြတာပဲအဲ့ဒီတော့ဘဝစီနှုတ်ချလိုက်လို့ရှိရင်ကျန်တဲ့ဟာတွေဘာမှမဖြစ်တော့အပေမှာဖြစ်တဲ့ဘဝကိုအပေရောက်စေတတ်တဲ့ဆိုးရုပ်တဲ့ကံတွေနှုတ်လိုက်လို့ရှိရင်အပေဘဝလည်းရောက်တော့လူဘဝနောက်ဘဝဆုံးကြီးဆန်းကြီးနေတဲ့ခုနဘဝလည်းမပူတော့ဘဝတွေတာတူသွားတာပဲဒါလည်းအမှန်တင်ရှားပါရဲ့အဆုံးတည်းဝိရရင်ကင်းစင်60သည်နောက်တစ်ခုကတော့သဗ္ဗပါယဒဝါရာလိပိဋဟတိတဲ့အပါယဆိုတာချမ်းသာကြည်ဝါကိုကျင်းမဲ့တာကိုကတရားမထုတ်သေးလို့တတ္တဝါမဖြစ်သေးဘူးဆိုလို့ရှိရင်အဲ့ဒီအပေတကားကြီးကတော့ပွင့်နေတာပဲရှိကပြုခဲ့တဲ့အဝိသုကံကြောင့်လည်းပဲအကျိုးပွင့်ကြုံလို့ရှိရင်အဲ့ဒီတည်းရောက်သွားနိုင်သေးတယ်တကားကပွင့်ရပဲယခုဘဝအပေလားစီတတ်တဲ့ဆုံးရုပ်တဲ့ကံတွေပြုလို့ရှိရင်လည်းပဲအပေတကားကြီးကပွင့်နေသေးတာပဲတရားတွေအထုလိုက်လို့အနည်းဆုံးသောတပန်ဖြစ်သွားပြီဆိုလို့ရှိရင်တော့အဲ့ဒီပေရကားကြီးကအလိုလိုပိတ်သွားတော့တပ္ပအပါယဒဝရဏိပိဋဟတိတဲ့မနေ့ကအဲ့ဒီအထိပြောခဲ့တဲ့ထမရဲ့အဲ့ဒါဒီနေ့ခေါင်းစဉ်အကျမ်းစာဆက်ပြီးတော့ပြောရမှာပေါ့
In the text, it says that there are 7 benefits in summary to gaining the knowledge of Sotapanna, or the past knowledge of the stream winner. And the first of these, first of all, before one practices, there's no vipassana knowledge that has arisen, and therefore it hasn't ripened, and therefore Sotapanna path knowledge, the path knowledge of a stream winner, has not yet arisen, not yet occurred. And this is how it was before, but now one is met with the teaching of the Buddha. And when one relies on a good teacher, a good friend, and gets the correct method and makes effort to apply it, then one gains purity of mind, and based on that develops knowledge. So up until the time that this path knowledge of the stream winner has arisen, one has not destroyed any kilesas at all. But with path knowledge, Sotapanna path knowledge, one destroys the kilesas that would take one to the lower realms of apaya. This is like a huge lump of kilesas. And so this is the essential benefit that one gets. And one is also freed of the false view of self, Sakaya Deity, and one is also freed of the belief in rites and rituals as a way to salvation or purity, and also to skeptical doubt. So these three mind states are connected with either greed or with delusion, or either with greed and delusion, or just delusion. So this is what is eliminated. And because these, what they're called is apaya-related kilesas that would send us to the lower realms, because these are eliminated, then there's no possibility that one will be born in the hell realms, or in the realm of the hungry ghosts, or as an animal, or as one of the angry ghosts, Asurakaya. One is free of these types of rebirth. And in addition to that, there's no more than 7 lifetimes ahead of one. An 8th lifetime will not occur. So, and following that, following that 7th lifetime, there will be no more suffering in the rounds of samsara vata dukkha. So thus it is said that anamataga sansara vata dukkha samodang soseti, that Sotapatti Meg dries up this endless occurrence of nama and rupa. Nama and rupa and the 3 rounds of the cycles of the kilesas, kama, actions, and vipaka, results. These are like an ocean. There's no end of them to be seen. But with the realization of the first path, there is now a limit to this ocean of samsaric suffering. There's a limit on how many lifetimes there are to come. One will only be reborn in the human and the deva realms, and there will only be 7 more lifetimes. So if there is a new lifetime, then although one wants to remain young, one will age. Although one wants to be healthy, one will get sick. Although one wants to live, one will die. Because of having a body, there will be physical suffering. Because of having a mind, there will be mental suffering. With regard to our family, when there's a loss within our family, then we'll suffer sorrow. When our possessions suffer ruin or loss, then we'll feel sorrow. And this is suffering. And most of what we experience in life is suffering. But people like this life. So if one eliminates the new lives, the karma that would cause new lifetimes, then that won't happen. And if one eliminates the karma, the seeds for rebirth in the realms of apaya, this also will not happen. So therefore it's said that this helps dry up the ocean of samsara. And the third benefit one gets is sabapaya dwarani pidaheti. That means that all the doors to apaya are closed. Apaya is a place that is completely devoid of happiness. There is no happiness or peace in apaya. And without realizing the first path knowledge, then there is still the possibility that one can be reborn in those realms due to karma actions performed in one's past. The door will still be open if one did any actions that can lead to the lower realms, either in past lives or in the present life. So when one realizes the first path knowledge, Sotapatti Magga, then this door to the lower realms is closed automatically. So yesterday, this is what Sayadawgyi spoke about, and today he will continue this topic, giving you the headlines of the different benefits.
Saddhana Ariya Dhanana Samukhi Bhavo Kroti Eri Sotapanna Pubhavaga Met Upadana Yani Yiche Piesolo Apota Kore Neighbor Yamo Purage Sotapanna Kunam Yodo Chusimina the Pogore Osari Tatatana Silatana Sadi Kunam Yoboli Ariya Usa Kunam Yobole Yamo Pure Sura Go Messishima means on Yahutu PVP 20 other, Shinshin 20 other, what Ari Osari Yala Sobare. Ariya Usa Kovare, Ariya Usa Konapia, Gozo Yazi, the tape or about it. Mamia Bisi Voli, Eradi Paisain or at the tape. Yoru Bisi Paisainare, Dari Paisain war de G.
The fourth benefit is Satanang Ariya Dhananang. Samukhi Bhavang Karoti, that the path knowledge of the Sotapanna brings this benefit. Because vipassana knowledge becomes complete, this Sotapatti Magga arises which sees Nibbana, and this gives one 7 types of possessions, beginning with faith, saddha, and morality, sila. So there are 7 benefits that one comes to possess, and one sees them, it is said, as if they are right in front of one's eyes. One gains these 7 possessions of a noble one, and one becomes wealthy with this unseen wealth, invisible wealth. This type of wealth is more important than owning material possessions.
Lama Shautra Sakama Yautravali Pubhavaga Melama Shautra Ariya Melani Point Biro Neighbor Memo Beauty Dorave. The Lama Shautra to a Tilu Chumi Yade Sura. Kongi Nale Dorabe Nale Dwabi Solochi Lama Maleto Bubo Era let they call now the one. I think he can Misa Mega Paja Tea Pubabaga Mega Nevido Ariya met Totaba Pita Totapati Meha Inga Shipane Piezone Lama Pisa Mega Lama Myanmar Misa Deji Pero Yueje Ma Micha Udeka Micha Singapore Kovare Micha Kamanda Micha Wachali Pioma Micha Kamanda Aloma Manalo Micha Aziwa Tamuwa Yangma Micha Wayama Josamu Ma Micha Tati Mado Tati Boli Mayone Tati Micha Tamari Remares Tamari Boli Daribo Iraria Micha Megalu Kavarama Inga Shim Yoshi Vare Duaro Eddie Lama will live soon like be Lama Jota Skama Yota Visolochi Dilam Pane Sureha Gona Ledora နောက်လည်းပဲဒီလမ်းပဲလမ်းလျှောက်တော့တာပေါ့လမ်းမလိုက်တော့အင်္ဂါ၈ပါးမဲ့လမ်းမှာAriyaကိုပယ်ရှားထုတ်တယ်ဆိုတော့ပယ်ရှားလိုက်တာပဲ
Because of walking the right path, one reaches the safe destination. One walks the forerunner path, and one realizes the safe haven of Nibbana. And one understands that one got to this place by walking the path, the forerunner path. So one no longer follows wrong paths. So it is said, Mecha Mega, sorry, I wrote it down. It dispels this, one dispels this the wrong path. Lets go of it, drops it, discards it. So this Mecha Mega, the wrong path, it has 8 parts. And the first is Mecha Deti, wrong view. And there's also Mecha Vitaka, wrong objective or wrong application of the mind. Then there's Mecha Vacha, the wrong speech. Mecha Kamanta, wrong action. And Mecha Ajiva, wrong livelihood. Further, there's Mecha Vayama, wrong effort. Mecha Sati, wrong sati. And Mecha Samadhi, wrong samadhi. So this is called Mecha Mega, and it has these 8 parts. So one discards this type of path. One no longer walks this path because one knows the correct path, and through that one reached the safe haven. Thus one continues to walk that correct path and discards the wrong path.
Mamane lan shao lo shi, lama shao lo shi. Yanga Yani le chungara be. Chau chin baya khore biri le sai da be. Burma malon na hu. Le twi shao ji po. Di ro ko rwin ka lam ma ri po le. Ai da de kin twa de so lo shi lam ma shao mi bi po. Lama shao ne lo shi yan le kin ne beyi le be ma sai twa bu yan soda ka atwin yan pyin yan 2 မျိုး ရှိပါတယ် atwin yan soda kaလောဘဒေါသမောဟအချမ်းအလတ်အနုကိလေသာတွေပေါ့အဲ့ဒါတွေကိုပါဠိလိုဝေရလို့ခေါ်ပါတယ်ဟိုလိုတော့ယံပေါ့လေဒီမှာဒါလူတွေမှာအပြည့်ရှိနေတာပဲခန္ဓာကိုယ်အတွင်းရံနေပေါ့ကိလေသာဝေရလို့လည်းခေါ်တယ်အကုသလဝေရလို့လည်းခေါ်တယ်အတွင်းရံလို့လည်းခေါ်တယ်အနည်းဆုံးရံလို့လည်းခေါ်တယ်တိတ်ကြောက်ဆက်ကောင်းတာလူတွေအဲ့ဒါတွေမကြောက်ဘူးပုဂ္ဂလဝေရဆိုတာကတော့ကိုယ်ရံသူပေါ့လေလူချင်းလည်းရံသူဖြစ်တာပဲတောတဲ့တောင်ထဲမှာလည်းပဲတိရစ္ဆာန်လူတွေတို့ကပဲတိရစ္ဆာန်တွေဒါလည်းပုဂ္ဂလဝေရတွေပေါ့မြင်ရတာလည်းရှိတယ်မြင်ရတာလည်းရှိနေတာပဲယံဖန်သမျှကြောက်ချင်းပေါ့လေစိတ်ထုတ်တာဆိုစိတ်ကြောက်ချင်းကြောက်လန့်ခြင်းဖန်သမျှအဲ့ဒါတွေအကုန်လုံးငြိမ့်သွားတယ်တဲ့ဘယ်လောက်ကောင်းသလဲ
If one walks the wrong path, then one will meet up with enemies and dangers. So no one is free of this. If one walks the wrong path, this is what will happen. And if one wants to know experientially, one can just try it and see. If one is not free of enemies, then one won't be free of dangers. So enemies come in two forms, internal and external. Our internal enemies are the kilesas of lobha, dosa, and moha, greed, hatred, and delusion, on a gross level, on a medium level, and on a refined level. These are called vera in Pali, and the best English translation I know is enemy. So these are in our being. These are called kilesa vera, the enemy of the defilements, akusala vera, the enemy of unwholesomeness, internal enemies, and they're also called the nearest enemies. And the other kind of enemy, the pugala vera, this is external, and it can be an enemy such as another human being. One human and another sometimes become enemies, or could be in a forest, there might be animals, or there may be enemies that one sees, and there may be enemies one doesn't see. But with the realization of Sotapatti path, then all enemies are quelled. And this enemies bring out fear in the mind. So this is quelled with the realization of Sotapatti path. So how good it is.
ဘဝရလို့ရရှိလာပြီဆိုလို့ရှိရင်အခုပြောခဲ့တဲ့အကျိုးတွေကျူးကျေးဇူးတွေရှိရတာဟာကျူးကျေးဇူးရှိအောင်ညွှန်ကြားတဲ့ဘုရားရဲ့ဆုံးဆုံးမတဲ့အတိုင်းလိုက်နာလို့ပေါ့ဘုရားပြတာကလမ်းကိုယ်သွားတာကလမ်းမဖြစ်လို့ရှိရင်ဘယ်ရလိမ့်မလားမွေးထားတဲ့သားသမီးတွေမိဘအဆုံးအမခံယူလို့ရှိရင်လိမ္မာတာပဲသားကောင်းသမီးကောင်းဖြစ်တာပဲမိဘကလည်းမဆုံးမဘူးဆုံးမပဲလို့သားသမီးတွေကမလိုက်နိုင်ဘူးအကျင့်တွေပြတ်နေပြီဆိုလို့ရှိရင်သားစစ်သမီးစစ်မဖြစ်နိုင်ဘူးမွေးထားတဲ့သားသမီးတွေမိဘစကားအကျိုးရှိဖို့လိုလားတဲ့မိဘစကားနားထောင်မှမေတ္တာကရုဏာကြီးမားတဲ့ပြီးတော့များစကားနားထောင်လို့ရှိရတာသာကုန်သူပြီးကောင်းဖြစ်တာပဲဒါလိုပါပဲဗုဒ္ဓကသူစကားနားထောင်ရင်နားထောင်လို့ကြည့်ပြီဆိုလို့ရှိရင်ကိုယ်ကအတွင်းရနေအေးပြီးတော့လေကြောက်ချင်းနေခင်းသွားတာပဲဒါနောက်မှအဲ့ဒါတွေရှင်းရမှာပေါ့အဲ့ဒီအချိန်လေးစိုက်သွားတယ်ဆိုလို့ရှိရင်ဘလို့မြတ်စွာဘုရားဟာပြီးပြင်းတဲ့ဖခင်အရာမှာတည်တယ်လေဆိုတာစဉ်းစားကြည့်ပေါ့အဲ့ဒါသားတော်အစ်စ်ပဲဓမ္မသားအစ်စ်ဓမ္မသမီးအစ်စ်ဖြစ်သွားတာပဲဓမ္မသမုဒ္ဒသဩရစပါဝဥပနေတိတဲ့လမ်းမှာလျှောက်လို့စကားမှာရောက်လို့ပေးရကင်းတဲ့နေရာစိတ်ချရတဲ့နေရာရောက်သွားပြီဆိုလို့ရှိရင်ဖခင်ဖျားရဲ့စကားနားထောင်လို့ဒီလိုအခြေအနေရောက်ရတာဆိုတော့ဒါတော့သမီးတော်အစ်စ်ဖြစ်သွားပြီအမျိုးသားနားထောင်ရင်ဒါတော့အစ်စ်မျိုးသမီးနားထောင်ရင်သမီးတော်အစ်စ်ဖြစ်သွားတယ်ရင်သွေးတော်နဲ့ဒါတော့စစ်စစ်ရောက်စေသည်အဲ့လိုဆိုထားပါတယ်ဒါ
If we want to get benefits in our life, if we want to have a good life, then we follow the path that is instructed by the Buddha. And as when parents have a child that is obedient and listens to what the parent says and then does accordingly, they feel that child is behaving like a true son or daughter. For children that don't obey their parents' words, don't listen to their parents' words, those are not like true sons and daughters. Only when a child listens to the instructions that a parent gives out of loving kindness and compassion, and then follows, is one behaving like a true child of their parents. So when one follows the instructions of the Buddha, the teaching of the Buddha, then one reaches the point where one's internal enemies are all quelled. So one can think, when one gets that type of benefit, how great one's feeling will be towards the Buddha, who is like a father. So it is because one listens to the instructions, the teachings of the Buddha, and then walks along the path as instructed, that one gets to the safe place. And this is because of following the words of the Buddha. So following the words of the Buddha in this way, to the extent that one reaches the safe haven, this makes one a true son or a true daughter of the Buddha.
Now some show me of Yataro. Anye Sanja Nigasata Anisansana Nigasata Anisana Pudilla Baya Watati Anisa Agub Yogere a Joe Ya a Jurima the Bavoli a chap Nigasata Nasra Yavomia Sware Yajibashi did. Eddie Joya will need a Tinshazon, Louis Jazon for Biatara. Who for Biaje, the bar, a child, Yavomyazwa, a Juri Shiva did Anisanzara, Joe said Debo. Yavomyazwa Shiva did Eddie Yavomyazwa, though, could you get it? Kunamyoma, the bar, a child, Yavomyazwa, though, a Jew Miati Yavu Yan Leve. She named by the Yavomia, Jufala, Mega Biva, the daughter by the Mega Biva, the Ramas. Chumido Biatavare.
And lastly, the texts say that in addition to these 7 benefits, there are hundreds more that result from realizing Sotapatti Magga, the path knowledge of a stream winner. So the most essential ones were mentioned specifically in the text, these 7. And the others are secondary results that come about. And they are in the hundreds. So these come about as a result of gaining the path.
She done told him as a Lucia. I go to Baba Meti, who was na Niani, Poir, Season, Debido. Yijay Piezon Lare come Havoli. Povata Kore, Yona Pissi, and Debido. Apota Kore, Yona Pissi, or the Yatora. Korea, Piotr Bosnia, Yona, Diari. A cemetery of Maya and the Vida. Shuzia are you shooted a sego, Piatora. Pocata, Nebula, Apota, Yautara. Eddie Saint Yautali, Eddie Apotago, are you beauty? Totapati, Mekawali. Totapati, Mepsi, lower the Moharia, the time, the Runation, 20. The child Ninyamu, I would do set a date at the time. My you. And thought about the mayor like an Eddie. A ye chizo, outdone, a chazo, Kilita, a sign carry, lower sign carry, Toda sign carry, more sign carry, the Karashim later. Pianamishi. Outdone of the Jayala on Wally. Even a Chanda Yog Mare. Lower to the Mohari Eri Kendora. Todo Mayoma did it, lower to the Mohari, she needed it to the David Babe. I say, Chow maybe the Julon Zawari, lower to the Moha. Tumiago, Mahamata, yesterday, lower the Moha, Ariya, Kendo.
So, to explain again, because one walks the forerunner path, Pubhaga Maga, vipassana knowledge arises stage by stage, and it becomes mature. When it becomes mature, then one goes from observing the endless stream of mind and matter arising and passing away to its cessation, apavata. So one simply, by observing every single arising object with ardent effort, accurate aim, so as to know, by doing this, eventually the object observed and the observing mind are both cut off, and one comes to realize nibbana. So path knowledge, Sotapatti path knowledge, eliminates the most important forms of the kilesas. These are the very gross level of lobha, very gross level of dosa and moha. This gross, extremely coarse, wild level of greed, hatred, and delusion is eliminated to no return. That is to say that there are lesser forms of greed, hatred, and delusion that still remain. But the forms that would cause us to commit transgressive actions based on greed, based on anger and delusion, these, the ones the ones that would lead us to perform such acts without any shame, without any fear, these are gone. That level of kilesa is gone.
Puasasaka parare lujimu loba yo lujina nangande loba yama china neme sravali sipe seso mongyonghu sipe soso doda anyu chire mone doda amamadita de dabo mai mere dabo boli moha Ariya autu Makauna say pitching a young a mere yearly mulari. There are a mamati already TV solution, a mamati lucia, lower delay, pitata, longer lower the to be some of the lower delay pitata. The Guams and lower delay, Chanjan and Pilata. Mijina Janet Wave solution, Sipeta, say soda, Mona, the Relepita, Matibu at the Sore, Matita Dodera, the Nila Matita Dodera, Mangana Nila, Malo, Usada, Posore, Amamadi already shouted out Posore. Lure, Jin Saridati Petaha, Eddie Have, Moha. The Niabi always are covered. Amadea Madida, the only Mohu, Eddie Have. On a Luemhard at the Finida. Eddie Cho is Lucia and all. Lower Piss and a Jone Kama, Lujimu, my momu. To go some Machinam who Sipes so Munyo who Dari Lama, that's each other. Luri a eruption in our Dava. The lower ne Padware teaches that the music of the Dhamma. I think only she is probably. That order, Mari, only Chiva attacks probably, Dali she is very swear. Is a Burma as well. Eri jiva atta lego te painga lo parama atta jiga ochou nire. Parama atta jiga sei pai me. Parama atta jiga ne so ne te so te boli. Te dole chile parama atta jiga amaido khandware sura daမျိုးတွေပေါ့အဲ့ဒါလိုအလွဲယူဆတွေဖြစ်တတ်တယ်ဒီမှာအဲ့ဒါဒိဋ္ဌိအယူဆကောအယူဆတယ်လွဲမှားတဲ့အယူဆအဲ့ဒါတွေဖြစ်တော့တာပဲအဲ့ဒါတွေဖြစ်လာလို့ရှိရင်အမှန်ကိုမသိတော့ဘူးသူလို့လည်းဟိုလိုဒီလိုပဲလေထဲမှာအိမ်ဆောက်နေတယ်လို့ပေါ့လေဒီမှာဘာမှအတည်ကြမရှိဘူးဝိသိကိစ္စဆိုတာဆိုတော့လာတော့တာပဲအမှန်မသိရင်ဟိုလိုဒီလိုဖြစ်တာပဲဒါအဲ့ဒါသိဆိုးတယ်အဲ့ဒါတွေကဟိုလိုဒီလိုကနေပြီးတော့တချို့အပြောကောင်းအဟောကောင်းနဲ့တွေ့သွားပြီဆိုလို့ရှိရင်တိလပရပရမတ္တဆိုတာပေါ့လေအကျင့်လွဲတွေအလေးအကျင့်အလေးတွေပေါ့လေအကျင့်တွေပေါ့အဲ့ဒါလွဲကုန်တာပဲတိလဆိုတာအလေးပေါ့ဝတ္တဆိုတာအကျင့်အလေးကျင့်တွေကိုလုံးလွဲချော်ကုန်တယ်တော့လွဲချော်ရင်လမ်းမလျှောက်တော့စခန်းမရောက်တာပေါ့လူတွေဆင်းရဲဒုက္ခတွေရောက်နေတာပဲတော့အဲ့ဒီကုဏလွဲမှားတဲ့အယူဆသူလို့သူနဲ့ယုံမှတန်တရားအလေးမှအကျင့်မှအလေးလွဲအကျင့်လွဲတွေအဲ့ဒါတွေကိုတခါတည်းကိုသောတပတိမေကပယ်လျှောက်လိုက်တာပဲလမ်းမမလျှောက်တော့ဘူးလမ်းမှတခါတည်းလျှောက်တော့တာပဲဒီမှာ
Throughout our lifetimes, there has been lobha, greed, and then demanding greed that just wants, has to get what it's want or else, extreme greed, and anger, resentment, bearing grudges, dislike, and not knowing incorrectly. So these three, greed, hatred, and delusion, are the roots of unwholesome mentality. And if one doesn't know the truth, if one doesn't know correctly, then lobha can arise. When one sees a likable object, greed can arise. One can have extremely selfish greed, extreme greed, and dislike, anger, resentment, bearing grudges. These can arise. And ignorance. This is really very bad. It's not so bad if all one doesn't know is the right path. But when one knows, when one's belief is in error, or one walks the wrong path, that's what is really difficult, makes big problems. So not knowing correctly, not knowing the truth, or knowing wrongly, this is avidya. And if one errs due to this, then when one encounters a desirable object, there will be greed, or there will be demanding. One will only be satisfied if one gets it. There will be extreme greed. When one meets up with an undesirable object, then there will be dislike, there will be anger, hatred, and so on, extreme anger. And in humans, this is what happens. And when there is lobha, greed, then there can also be wrong view, wrong detti. It occurs together with lobha. The view that there is a self, for example, atta, jiva atta, a life force or self inside. And this atta, another belief is that this atta is part of a supreme, ultimate paramatta atta, paramatta. And this supreme atta causes the individual self to live or to die. These are wrong beliefs. And if one believes in the wrong way, then one will also be indecisive, wavering about what is true. And this is called vicikicca, or skeptical doubt. So thus not knowing is very bad. So if one doesn't know the truth or knows in the wrong way, then one can, when one meets up with someone who's a good speaker, one can accept all types of things that are not true. And this belief in rites and rituals as a way to purity or to salvation is called Panditarama. Sila means like a habit, and vata means practice. Anyhow, this is a type of, when one believes in rites and rituals as a way to salvation, this is called Panditarama. So thus, there are these things: wrong knowing in the wrong way, having wrong belief, and following the wrong path. And all these are dispelled by the first path knowledge, Sotapatti path. Thus, one won't walk the wrong way anymore. One will only walk the correct path.
People are Sotapatti meka pesha laite lobadoda assign carry them. Sotapatti ka peplaite lobadoda mohari them. Lovani shintwani de Diti sura padova. Diti sura ayutamyo body. Eri you are Sakaya kore Tinsha Yona Suma Kita Diti body. Santo Kayo Sakayo Santo Memo absent Tinsha Shini though. Kayo Yosu Nansu Najareka Tango Payum Chitatia, Momoli Mobu, a Momori Bonsutara, Era Kayalu covered, Ruba Kayalu covered. A Tanzania Nare Lani, Tanleria Momon Hopu, Yajibetan lady. Era leve Rupakaya, Yukaya Lukore Pomito, Tamia Kaya Lukoride Jatida, Nane Atane, Narema Sozida, Kanzara, Naria Nankaya Likore Pomito Nukulum Kaya Lu don't have it. Yes, of your Hojatare, Timoli. Nimotri absent Druha Tinshare, Taulo Santa Lucovare Tinshare, Yukaya, Nagayari Era Umeso Yaga Sakaya Lodi Lucovare Tinshashini Yonani Kolidegaya Kuna Deti Atazwari, a Bema Pita Lusoro. Eri Sekayama Pitabe Sekayama Natina Seka Deti Mazra Tishaji the Yunan Diabo Ma Yosu Nasuro Gulu Mashuro Matiuli Matiro Poku Ve Tatua Vesra Luemari Hari Picuna Yaujave Mima Ve Eri Yaujamima Lusura Poku Ma Jiwa Ata Adesine a Goni Shide, Elu Swede one of them. Era Deti Core, Tekayama, Natina, Nagoni Shide, Jiwa Dali Shide, Swelana, what you said at a Sega Deti Core. Totava Pidwa Solution, Herali, Loma Pugara. Teatro Nayuti, Surego, Nanayo Quevi Solution, Dinamyoga, Loy, Pogotato, Maho, Travoli. Miatended Siwata, Maho, Hotagaro, Yokaya, Nagaya, Dinamyobe, Suravoli. Pedro Paisavito, Tilata, Neve, Singa Savito Boli, Sekaya Deti, Kitakanato Pukeda. Kitakana Puya, Nevido, Tatava Pite Gajado, a Piatakade Pukore, Piatakade Shimlet, Totapatimuga. Era go Seka Deti, Kene, Tilosova. Eri Seka Dediga, Lova Nation, Dwelle, Sekaya Dedi. You know, Seka Dedi came on the sea, do not dwell, Lova, the part of it, baby that shit.
Among the Lobha, Dosa, and Moha, which is dispelled by Sotapatti Magga, the path knowledge of the stream winner. Among these is the lobha that is connected with ditti, wrong view. Ditti, D-I-T-T-H-I, means another type of belief. And there's a view that is called Sakkaya Ditti. Sakkaya is explained as Santo Kayo. Santo means that it is directly observable, can be seen right in front of us. And Kayo means group of mind and matter, nama and rupa. In hearing, there's not just one little bit. There's a group of many, many particles that make up the ear base. So there's many, many things grouped together to make up this receptor for hearing. And the sound wave that comes and strikes the ear also is many, many particles, many, many waves of sound grouped together. And the consciousness that arises, the mentality that arises when the sound wave strikes the ear, too, is not just one thing, but there's hearing consciousness, contact, and feeling, a group of mentality. So this group is called kaya. A group of things is called kaya. And thus Sakkaya means that a group, collection of mind and matter that is directly observable, that is evident. So this is what Sakkaya means. And Sakkaya Ditti is a false view that occurs regarding this collection of mind and matter, which is directly observable. One thinks this because one doesn't observe the mind and matter that is really there, therefore one doesn't know it as mind and as matter. And not knowing it as mind and matter, one thinks it's a person, or it's a man, it's a woman. And one also thinks that in this person there's a self, a jiva atta. So this belief is Sakkaya Ditti, a false belief that is based on what the kaya that can be really observed. A Sotapanna no longer believes in this false view. So, and when one comes to practice and realizes the distinction between mind and matter, nama and rupa, one knows from that point onward that when you remove mind and matter. When you remove these two things, there is nothing else left in our experience. So from that point on in the practice, the false view called Sakaya Detti is discarded on a momentary basis. The path knowledge of the stream winner discards this false view for good. Sakaya Detti, this form of wrong view, occurs connected with greed. Thus, when Sakaya Detti is eliminated, the greed or lobha that would arise together with Sakaya Detti is also automatically dispelled.
Di lo lobha ne shin twé nede athai shi de akaungလေးရှိတယ်လို့အဲ့ဒီSakaya Dettiအစွဲလွဲမှားတဲ့အစွဲပေါ်လေကင်းအောင်ဆိုပြီးတော့ကျင်ဤမှန်နေကျင့်ရတယ်ကျင်ဤမှကြည့်တယ်ဆိုတော့ကျင်ဤမှမသိဘဲနဲ့ကျင့်လို့မရဘူးပထမဆုံးကျင်ဤမှန်နေပေါ့လေဖြစ်ခိုက်ရှုမှတဘာဝခုနပရမတ္ထတွေသိနိုင်တယ်ဆိုတာပေါ့လေပထမဆုံးနီးသိရတယ်ကျင်ဤမှမသိရင်မောဟကျင်ဤမှသိလို့ရှိရင်ကျင်ဤမှသိလာတော့မောဟမရှိတော့အဝိဇ္ဇာလည်းမရှိတော့တိပွေရာရာတွေကိုလည်းပဲအခုသိထားတဲ့အတိုင်းနီလန်းရှိတဲ့သိထားတဲ့အတိုင်းမကျင့်လို့ရှိရင်လည်းပဲမသိဘူး။ဟောကျင်ဤမှသိပြီးတော့လက်တွေ့ကျင့်တယ်လေကိုယ်ရဲ့သိစီရာတွေယုတ်ကာယနဂါယတွေကြောင်းကျဲဆွပုံတွေသိဝေရာရှုတယ်လေ။ရှုတော့သိတယ်မဟုတ်လားလို့သိတော့မသိပြောက်ပြီဆိုလို့ရှိရင်ခုနအလင်းရောက်တော့အမောင်ရောက်လာအမောင်ပြောက်သွားပြီဆိုလို့ရှိရင်မြင်စရာတွေရှင်းရှင်းလေးမြင်တော့တာပေါ့ဘာမှယုံမတန်တရားမရှိတော့ဒီနိမယမသိတာလေ့လာပဲဖြောက်လေကျမ်းနာပဲဖြောက်လေတိဝေယမသိတာရှုကပဲဖြောက်လေဆိုတာပေါ့လေအဲ့ဒီနိလန်းတစ်ခုသုံးလိုက်တဲ့အခါမှာအမှန်သိလာတော့ရှင်းသွားတာပေါ့အလင်းရောက်တော့အမှောင်ပြောက်ပြီဆိုရင်အဲ့ဒီအလင်းထဲမှာရှိနေတဲ့ဟာတွေအကုန်လုံးဘာတွေလဲဆိုတာခွဲခြားစိတ်ဖြာပြီးတော့သိတော့တာပဲတူလို့ဝိသိကိစ္စမရှိတော့ဘူးကိုယ်ပေါ်မှာအလင်းရောက်ပြီဆိုလို့ရှိရင်ခုနလွဲမှားတဲ့အယူဆလည်းခင်းတယ်လို့ခုနဘာခေါ်မလဲယုံမတန်တရားတွေလည်းခင်းသွားတော့တာ
In order to dispel the greed and the wrong view in a self that is connected with greed, the wrong view called Sakaya Detti, to dispel this, one needs to know the correct method. So one has to practice the correct method, and this can't happen without learning the method first. So if we don't know the method true, we must study, learn it till we do. And then, knowing the method still, if one doesn't practice, one won't come to know. So, in order to know what is to be known, one has to apply this correct method. And applying it, one will come to know the group of rupa, the group of nama. One will come to know rupa kaya and nama kaya. Because one observes, one comes to know. Isn't that so? So in knowing, ignorance is dispelled, and one sees clearly. And at that point, there won't be any more doubt. There's no wavering, because one sees clearly. So in order to know what is to be known, we observe, applying the practice. And thus, so anyhow, we when we practice, we remove the skeptical doubt. Through seeing what is happening in oneself, we become free of wrong belief, and we also become free of doubt. As Sayadawgyi said, by following the correct method, sila, samadhi, and panya comes to be in one's being. One's physical and verbal behavior become clean. One's mind becomes clean, and knowledge occurs so that one sees clearly. So one won't believe in doctrines that do not involve any sort of practice. For example, the Lord will save you, without any type of practice at all. Doctrines which are mere belief, and just by believing one can make one's physical, verbal, and mental behavior clean. One won't accept this type of doctrine. So in order for physical, verbal, and mental behavior to become clean, there needs to be a good practice. There needs to be correct practice. And knowing that, one will no longer follow the wrong path, knowing the correct path. Thus this wrong view called Silabbataparamasa, the belief in rites and rituals as a method of becoming pure, is something one will no longer accept once one has walked the correct path and reached the safe destination. One will no longer follow the wrong path. Thus, Sotapanna path eliminates the belief in a self called Sakaya Deity, the belief that rites and rituals will lead to purity of mind and body, and the skeptical doubt, vicikecha. It eliminates these three things, plus it eliminates the lobha, dosa, and moha that are connected with these beliefs or with skeptical doubt. The realization of Sotapatti path eliminates kilesas that were not previously eliminated because one did not practice. But because of following the forerunner path, developing the forerunner path, the Sotapatti path, the path knowledge of the stream winner arises and eliminates these kilesas. Tomorrow should be a day off, but because Sayadawgyi will give the talk tomorrow. And for today, this is all. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Hima.